Hello, and thank you for tuning in to Barely There Theater, where we present theater to you, barely. Up this week, a rehearsal process of this month's play. The audio presented here is a mostly unmastered recording, with any changes or omissions made at the request of those being recorded. This is to help facilitate a safe and creative rehearsal space where ideas can flow freely in the moment. There will be a brief message at the end of rehearsal, so stick around. We hope you enjoy the process.
Floating magnet.
Like somebody like from the Philippines who speaks Tagalog, speaking German. You know, because like we have a concept for like foreign accents for English, but like like a German speaking Spanish. What does that sound like to them?
So, Mexican-speaking German would actually be quite normal because Germany and Mexico had very close relations for a long time. Margarita is named after a German ambassador's daughter.
Really?
Yes.
Marguerite. Oh, I get it. Yeah, that makes sense. But the question is to a German, like we understand like a Mexican accent. What is a Mexican accent in the German language? How does that sound? Like I'm so interested. I wish I knew more languages so that I could hear that and be like, huh, like a German speaking Japanese.
Yeah. Pretty common, same as Chinese.
German speaking Chinese?
Yes. Germany and China have very
How
close
does it
relations
sound to
now.
a Chinese person?
I have no idea.
All right.
We're recording now.
This is our rehearsal.
Yes, this is our rehearsal for our page and a half of dialogue. So thank you. I appreciate the effort we're putting into what is ultimately not a lot of dialogue, but still adds that air of authenticity that I would like. Just because I don't know, it feels cheap if I keep German officer speaking in English to be evil, and then I don't know, it feels cheap if I just try to Google Translate. So it feels nice to me as a writer to make sure if I'm representing
Should I
these
try to
characters,
do
I'm
this?
doing it well.
This is French. Should I do it in a French accent trying to speak?
I don't want you to push yourself too hard.
So, here's a question.
Okay.
Where is it taking place in?
Paris.
In Paris? Okay.
Paris, specifically, just because I mentioned the
Can
date
you give us
over.
an outline of what the story is?
Yes. So, August 1942. So the story itself is a mostly true story about the author Samuel Beckett and his partner. Yeah, partner at the time, Suzanne, French name that I'm going to absolutely butcher if I try to pronounce it right now. They were Samuel Beckett, author of Waiting for Godot.
Yeah.
It's about him. He was a resistance fighter for the French resistance against the Nazi regime, working on translating code and all that.
Oh.
Fun, cool stuff. But him and his partner's cell was compromised by a double agent. And so they had to go into hiding at a friend's house. I decided to write what is essentially a very elaborate Waiting for Godot fan fiction. That it's Samuel and Suzanne hiding under the floorboards of their friend's house, waiting for their ferryman to come carry them away. Their ferryman being named Godot, so they are
Literally waiting for
Godot. Yeah, they're literally waiting for Godot. So the whole story is them just like restless, waiting under the floorboards, and then you, Godot, Micah, come and you're like, I was followed, which I will also need a recording of you doing that line, but that's in English, so that's fine. Okay. Saying, I was followed, make no sound, and then you have this confrontation with the officer who followed you in, and then you're ultimately executed.
Yeah, I get to be Godot.
Yeah. So that's the overall plot. So you represent Hope, only to be immediately executed within like a page.
Typical German nonsense.
Yeah, some fun German.
There's hope over there.
Snuff it out.
So to better establish your character, you're part of the French resistance. So French is your native language. You know English. You had to learn German very quickly because Nazis. Yeah. Learn German or die mentality type stuff. You're just
how far into the Nazi regime is this? Because actually a lot of people, because even And no, I don't. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but even before, way before World War I and World War II, German aristocracy was very prominent because they held the.
It was the Junkers.
Well,
they held the land.
Well, they held the land, but there was also they had the Holy Roman Emperor ship through the lines.
So the Holy Roman Empire, Germany was made up of a bunch of smaller little duchies, I guess you would say, and it was like dozens of them. And then King Wilhelm and Bismarck came together and they held the German Wars, which reunified Germany into one country. And that ended in 1890s.
Well, but from that point, going onward from... Because, like, if you track the Holy Roman Empire, right, the current, what would be the heir is like a NASCAR driver, and he's like the son of like a German...
There is so much discussion
politician.
of who the true heir is to the Holy Roman Empire.
If you go by the rules of how they did it originally, that's the guy. Currently.
So here's the thing. The rules kept changing.
That's true. That's true. But that being said, German is a pretty prominent language, was a pretty prominent language throughout most of Europe because of that.
It was actually because of German workers. They would frequently go around the different places in the world. The first wage laws was actually a maximum wage that was put in place because German workers of higher class would move to other countries. And they'd show up and say, hey, we have all the expertise, pay us a lot of money. And then the king of the country was like, no, you can only get $15 an hour, quote unquote. That's the maximum.
You know, honestly, I think we do dwarves a misjustice being Scots. I think they would make great German, like...
We have that for gnomes.
Are gnomes German?
I think so.
Gnomes are kind of German, I guess, yeah.
I feel like if you're going to do a gnome voice, it has to be kind of German, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, because like they're all into tinkering and making things and Germans and their super weapons, and it's going to be a gnome behind a super weapon.
I got to let the dog out again before we do this, because otherwise she will bark throughout the whole recording.
Because I've only heard of one super death laser being made in D&D, and that was made by a gnome.
Hey!
Ich habe nicht angeklopft. Ich habe nicht angeklopft. Ich hoffe, es macht Ihnen nichts aus. Sie hatten es so eilig. Sie wirkten beunruhigt. Als Ordnungshüter eilte ich Ihnen zu Hilfe. Dann gibt es keine Problem. Sorry, my German, it was my first language. And then I grew up with my mom speaking it only to me.
Okay.
And then going to Germany and being absolutely fucking plastered and speaking proper German. So I have a very heavy American accent.
You know, I was just thinking it sounds wonderful, so I sincerely cannot tell the difference.
So here's the thing. There were plenty of Americans who went to Germany before World War II broke out and then ended up becoming officers. So I'm just one of them, I guess.
Yeah.
As I know, my mom and I, we just finished a discussion for a good, 2 months. And then we finally got the answer on Monday. I went to Knies Florists. And we were like, is it Knies or is it Knies? Because if it's a name, it's probably Knies. Because it's German. And German for knee is Knie. And I asked them, is it Knie or is it knee? And they're like, it's Knie. And I'm like, it's German. Confirmed.
Figured it out.
Alrighty.
Okay, so Micah, what would be best for you since everything you're going to be reading will be, you have no clue what you're saying. Would you like to do a quick reading of the actual original English dialogue just to get a sense of what the scene feels like?
Yeah, because I don't know what any of it means.
Okay, and I have directions.
I mean, I see some of the translations underneath it, but some of them not.
I have it right here if you want to read it.
English translations?
Yes.
So the English is on page, starts on 14.
Do you have the paper copy? Right?
Yeah, I have a paper copy. Do you want a paper? He has an extra paper.
No, I'm good. I understand what it's saying.
So 14?
Yeah, so most of the way down 14. So you have your line, I was followed, make no sound. And then...
Is Godot smooth? Is the character, generally good at hiding this stuff? Or is he caught unawares and is like, shit?
He's keeping it cool. I wouldn't say he's bumbling, but he's definitely scared because he's like, oh, I've fucked up.
Well, I mean, is he the kind of person who, like, in your mind, is he the kind of person that under that pressure and under that oh fuck can play the good role, has it like a high enough charisma to be like, officer, what can I do for you? Or is it more like he's like there's an air of like the first scene from Inglourious Bastards where the father has the Jewish family under the floorboards and he's just kind of like standoffish because he doesn't want to give away anything.
I think, to put it in D&D terms, I think he has a high base charisma. He just rolled poorly.
Okay. Reading it, it sounds like he was gonna get away, but it was a fluke.
Yeah, he's totally caught off guard, but he still pulls it off, and then it's the officer like wandering down the hall and seeing a picture on the wall that gives it away.
Okay. So he could be smooth. He could be like
he passed the charisma check, but then the officer
made a perception check or an investigation check.
Yeah.
Okay.
His passive investigation was high enough to be like, you
Yuden.
So let's actually here, Fermann, I'll hand that script over to you. If you just want to read the lines in English from 14 through like I think the top of 16, just kind of get a feel of like what's actually being said, so Micah Micah understands.
Yeah. Shh! I was followed. Make no sound. Afternoon, officer.
I hope you don't mind. I didn't knock.
Oh, no problem, officer.
You were in a rush. You seemed distressed. As a keeper of the peace, I rushed to your aid.
I had forgotten I left the kettle on. Didn't want to come back to a burnt-down home.
Then there's no problem?
No, just a mindless mistake.
There were reports of a resistance fighter in this neighborhood, just a couple of blocks north of here. I must be jumpy. Maybe I misread the situation. If that's the case, I'll leave you to your business.
I appreciate that, officer.
Have a good afternoon.
Yes, officer.
This is a beautiful painting. Where did you get it?
I must confess, I don't know. It's been in the family so long. Probably some long-lost aunt.
That's what I love about this country. So much culture, so much history. My family has no such heirlooms. But here, in your hallway, hangs some unknown work of art. Maybe I'll take some history home with me? And next to it, I see a family portrait. A beautiful young woman and her husband. Looks a little Jewy to me, but now that I look... Stay here for a moment. You aren't in the photo.
That's me.
This is you?
Yes.
I'll ask you one more time, and I'd like to stress, I don't like being lied to. Is this you?
I've put on some weight. I don't know what else. In French. Oh, no, please. Oh, no, please!
Bang, and then you're dead. So that's a scene in English.
What a shit. Just fucking... This person could not have gotten that fat.
We're in wartime France. You don't get to eat.
Shut your lying ass up.
Okay. And I'll take the script back, Fermann, so I can just see what we're looking at. So your lines, Micah.
Start at 18?
Yes. And you're doing the lines in the parentheses. So, for instance, the first line is like kind or problem officer.
Offizier.
Offizier.
Right?
But the in parentheses is just kind problem offizier.
Is Z an S? I'm just assuming. Like when you see a Z, should I assume S?
Offizier.
ST.
Offizier. I guess, yeah.
Offizier?
Hello, Offizier.
Okay, cool.
So you're and I can toss you a highlighter if you want to highlight the parentheses. Leslie translated to someone who's kind of speaking a broken German, so I want you to do that more broken German. And after you highlight those parentheses, if we want to just run Micah through his lines, and so you can help. Okay. Just because I'm not super worried about his pronunciation, but I at least want him to be saying the words correctly.
Should I write down the ending here for what the interpretation is, so he knows where I'm going to be ending at?
I will play off because I mean I'm assuming the character is already kind of hesitant anyway to have this conversation, so I will just wait for that pause.
Okay.
And if you need to, you can edit that later, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I can put as much time or as little time between the lines as I like, as long as I have like some dead air between them.
See, we do some recording here, and that's what I always ask them. Like, just leave as much space as possible. It's cool. It's the little bit of space that's an issue.
I just need enough to cut to silence, and then I can do whatever I want after that.
I feel. S'il vous plaît in French is a very formal please.
Okay. What? I mean, I know barely Spanish, so if you have a suggestion for how to make it more...
Well, I feel like in a situation of desperation, you're about to be shot.
Yeah.
Well, do you want to be rude to the German officer?
He brings up a very good point.
We have a formal you.
But I do understand what you're saying. So
like no, s'il vous plaît. You know, like
yeah.
It's not something. Well, I mean, it could be if he's like, please, officer, no, and then he gets shot. But you know, it's like I don't know exact. Like I took French for 4 years and know very little, but I do know that is a formal please versus a informal please.
Okay. Hold on. I'm
pretty sure.
Here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna take a picture of this line. I'm gonna send it to Christine. And be like, how would a French person plead for their life? And hopefully she replies to me before we're done recording.
Also, s'il te plaît would be please, as in like requesting from someone.
It's funny that I was just listening to a podcast where they were talking about translations and stuff like that.
I mean, it's probably fine. I can say it in a way that is... please for me is s'il te plaît. S'il vous plaît would be like you all, I believe, or something like that.
For now, we'll record it as that. In the meantime, I will be texting this to Christine to hopefully get a response back.
Christine as in from college?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because she lived in...
Yeah, she's actually the one who I recorded this with. She's the Suzanne in this.
Oh.
Because I went down to visit her recently. Had a delightful time.
Are her and her girlfriend still together?
No, they went their separate ways.
Oh, that's...
Yeah.
They were a nice couple.
But it was... I mean, they're still on good terms. I saw both of them while I was down there.
Oh, nice.
It was just they had decided it had run its course.
Fair enough.
Which is...
Happens.
Totally happens.
Better to end it that way than to hate each other a year later.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Texting, that's what I was like swiping through my ass. Like,
Are you going to have a translator for this? Or is it just the end of it going to be in German? And your
in German.
Mostly American audience will be like, huh?
I want them... I don't necessarily want them to be huh. I want them to be...
immersed.
Immersed, yes.
As if they're under the floorboards.
Yes, so the whole soundscape is very close and claustrophobic, and ultimately what I'm doing with this recording is muffling it so it sounds like it's coming from like the floorboards above. Mm-hmm. So I want it to be I want it to be a very tense moment, and so it's like
low pass and reverb will give you an effect of distance and muffledness.
Yep, that's what I was planning on doing.
Yeah. But not like a hall reverb, like a very subtle reverb, but it does give distance.
I might need to learn how to do that stuff from you.
Yeah, I can teach you that. Actually, one of the recordings I did for Alex not too long ago was for that D&D play that they were doing, the She Kills Monsters. Basically, by the end of it, they kill Tiamat.
Oh, okay.
But and there's like a bunch of different monsters along the journey. But I recorded it as if it was an orchestra and had to pan and reverb to create a depth of an orchestra. Mm-hmm. And then I reverbed everything to a certain degree, so it was like you were sitting in the audience. It was actually really fucking cool.
Because, like, I do my SCP recording thing, and typically I just say what it is. But recently I've been like, they're not talking directly in the microphone. Okay, just doing this real quick. And then I started taking my walkie-talkie to talk through my walkie-talkie.
Oh, that's pretty cool. So... There are some things that you can do by panning. You can actually talk right into the microphone and you can pan it so that it's off to the side. Reverb will give depth or distance from the microphone, and then like I said, there are some like high pass, low pass filters that you can do to affect the timbre of the sound.
Gotcha.
Okay, so I have sent that off to Christine. In the meantime, let's just run through Micah's lines real quick to make sure he's at least in the ballpark for the pronunciation. And then we'll go through and I'll stop the recording. Or no, we'll just keep it all as one piece. I can cut around, that's fine. And then we'll just go through and we'll record it a couple times. So I have some takes for safety, and then we will.
Do you want to do a back and forth, or it's just Micah right now?
Let's just do Micah right now, so we can get him through the German.
Okay.
And then we'll go back and do.
Do you want me to help him out a little bit with some of the German?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Guten Tag, Offizier.
Good enough.
Kein Problem, Offizier.
Well, keine.
Keine?
With the R.
Oh, there is. So
Yeah.
that was the proper one. The one.
Okay, kein Problem. Yeah, my bad. The highlighted one. Yep.
Okay. Kein Problem, Offizier.
Yep.
Ich habe vergessen, dass ich dem Kessel eingelassen habe.
Angelassen habe.
Angelassen.
Angelassen haben.
Angelassen haben.
Angelassen.
Angelassen habe.
Habe, yeah.
Habe.
Habe.
Habe. Okay. Yeah. Ich habe vergessen, dass ich dem Kessel angelassen habe. Ich wollte Ich wollte nicht zur Niedergebrannte.
Oh my god.
Niedergebrannte Haus. Niedergebrannte.
That's a word.
Niedergebrannte Haus.
Gebrannte Haus.
Zurückkommen.
Zurückkommen.
Niedergebrannte Haus.
Niedergebrannte Haus. Zurückkommen. Ich habe vergessen, dass ich dem Kessel angelassen habe. Ich wollte nicht zur niedergebrannte Haus zurückkommen.
Zurückkommen, yeah.
Zurückkommen.
I actually have a question.
Yeah.
Does French do the French roll their R's?
I believe so.
Sometimes it's more like
Okay, just making sure.
Like,
Because the Germans
roll.
typically roll R's. I don't know if the French do it as well.
the French really don't. There really isn't any rolling. There's more like the guttural, like
Okay.
Ross.
Well, he's English, the guy who's saying this, right?
British.
I'm thinking we could.
Who would be there at the time? Who would before D-Day? Who made it over to the French?
So
province?
there were a whole slew of nationalities all over
Yeah,
the
because
place.
I mean Samuel Beckett was himself Irish, and he's the one under the floorboard. So there
Yeah.
was people of all types in France at the time.
Because am I rolling my R's? I didn't mean to. If I was.
Yeah, because if it's like if you're an English speaker, English don't really roll their R's.
That's true. That's true. Especially if you learned German hastily.
Yeah.
Because you would say rude, not rot.
Well, the thing is I did a lot of study in college on how to pronounce what I'm reading. So I don't think I sound that bad.
Yeah, it's really not that bad for just reading it off a script for the first time.
But I think that's the issue because I did vocal training in French, Italian, German, and Spanish. So
You know how to get the ro.
Yeah.
Rot. Yeah.
Ich habe vergessen, dass ich dem Kessel angelassen habe. Ich wollte nicht zur
Niedergebrannte Haus zurück.
niedergebrannte Haus zurückkommen.
Let's do this just because this is such a
Can I split that into two words? What is that word?
dense.
Zurückkommen?
No, niedergebrannte.
I'm not sure what Nieder means, but gebrannte means burnt. So it's like, I don't want to come back to a burnt down house.
Oh, yes.
I think Nieder is essentially down, like
Yeah.
gebrannte. Niedergebrannte means burnt down.
I mean, even if I am...
I mean, you can still roll your R's. It's not...
Well, no, I'm saying if... I can split it up into two words, probably because I'm not a native English or native German speaker, so niedergebrannte Haus zurückkommen.
And that's the issue with German is a lot of compound words. But yeah, that you got it good at the end.
Nein. Nur einen Gedenkenloser? Loser?
Gedenkenlose Fehler.
Gedenkenloser Fehler. Fehler. Fehler?
Fehler.
Fehler. Fehler.
Fehler.
Fehler. Ich würde das begrüßen. Begrüßen, Offizier. Ich werde das begrüßen, Offizier. Ja, Offizier. Ich muss gestehen, ich weiß es nicht. Es ist schon so lange. Es ist schon so lange in der Familie.
Familie. So German, you would essentially enunciate every letter. There are no silent letters.
Familie. Wahrscheinlich ein lange verloren Tante.
And it's wahrscheinlich.
Wahrscheinlich?
Yeah.
Wahrscheinlich. Okay. Ich muss gestehen.
Wahrscheinlich, my bad.
Wahrscheinlich. Ich muss gestehen, ich weiß es nicht. Es ist schon so lange in der Familie. Wahrscheinlich ein lange verloren.
Tante. Yeah.
Tante. One more time. Ich muss gestehen. Ich muss gestehen, ich weiß es nicht. Es ist schon so lange in der Familie. Whatever, I mean, I'm not...
Yeah.
Familie. Wahrscheinlich ein lange verloren Tante.
Yeah. 'Cause I'm really not getting anal about like the E's and the R's and S's at the end because a lot of those are just about how the noun is used. And I mean, I'm not even great at that.
But if it was verloren.
Verloren, yeah, but like eine.
If you learned it by ear rather than by reading, it would be something like he would be like, "That's an F."
Yeah,
not a V.
Yeah, because like eine, you're saying einlange, but eine, eins, it's all the same thing. And so in English we just have the, but in German they have 4 different versions of the.
Got you.
In German, my bad.
Das bin ich.
Yep.
Ja.
Yep.
Ich habe ein bisschen zugenommen. Ich habe ein bisschen zugenommen. Ich weiß es nicht, nach was sonst.
Ich weiß es nicht, was sonst. Ich weiß es nicht, was sonst.
Ich weiß es nicht, was sonst. Non, s'il vous plaît!
Bang. Good.
Done. Easy. Not easy. Very hard.
and we can take time if we need to when we're going through. But,
Here's the thing to imagine, though. English is a Germanic language.
No, I know. And here's the other thing. If I were to be doing this the way that I learned how to do it when I was in college, I wasn't learning what it meant. Like, I would have to do translations, rough translations. What I would have to do is go through and put it in phonetic alphabet.
Yep.
And write and describe it in phoneticism.
I don't know why, but I'm thinking about the Scrabble guy who went to play the French Scrabble and didn't know a single word in French. Like, didn't know what it meant, but he learned every French word to play Scrabble. I don't know what this word means. I know it's a French word, though.
This is a French word.
You won.
Okay, do we want to try once back and forth real quick?
Sure.
Yeah. And then do a few takes. Guten Tag, Offizier.
Ich habe nicht angeklopft. Ich hoffe, es macht Ihnen nichts aus.
Kein Problem, Offizier?
Sie hatten es so eilig. Sie wirkten beunruhigt. Als Ordnungshüter eilte ich Ihnen zu Hilfe.
Ich habe vergessen, dass ich den Kessel angelassen habe. Ich wollte nicht zur niedergebrannte Haus zurückkommen.
Dann gibt es kein Problem?
Nein. nur einen Gadenkloss... Nein, nur einen Gadenkenlosser? Is that it?
Gedenkenloser.
Gedenkenloser. Nein, nur einen Gedenkenloser Fehler.
Es wird über einen Widerstandskampf in dieser Nachbarschaft berichtet. Zum letzten Mal ein paar Blöcke nördlich von hier gesehen. Ich muss nervös sein. Vielleicht habe ich die Sachlage falsch verstanden. Was das so sein sollte, werde ich Sie in Ruhe lassen.
Ich würde das begrüßen, Offizier.
Das ist ein schönes Bild.
I forgot the officer. The feet. What do I have to say? What is the back and forth there? Is there a back and forth? What is the actual thing?
Ich werde das begrüßen, Offizier, and then it seems like there's a pause, and then...
What is that translation? I have an idea of what I've been saying.
Ich werde das begrüßen, Officer?
Yeah.
That means, I thank you, officer.
Oh.
Essentially.
And then you're supposed to say have a good day, and I say yes, officer. Where's the have a good day?
There's a have a good day.
I'd appreciate that offer. Officer, have a good afternoon, man. Yes, officer. Officer, this is a beautiful painting.
Oh. Yeah,
So,
have a good afternoon isn't in there.
Yeah. Do you want him to say have a good afternoon? In German? Because you just have feet walking away and then I say yes, officer? It could just be a stop.
I think I like that. You know what? I don't know that I need a Nazi to be polite.
Okay. So, like, there's the walk, 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 stop, look.
Yeah.
Ja, officer.
Yeah.
Officer.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like that.
Okay, so, ich würde das begrüßen, Offizier. Ja, Offizier.
Das ist ein schönes Bild. Woher haben die das?
Ich muss gestehen, ich weiß es nicht. Es ist schon so lange in der Familie. Wahrscheinlich ein lange verloren Tante.
Darum liebe ich dieses Land. So viel Kultur, so viel Geschichte. Meine Familie hat solche Erbstücke nicht. Aber hier, in ihrem Flur, hangen eine unbekannte Kunstwerke. Vielleicht werde ich ein Stück Geschichte mit nach Hause nehmen. Und daneben ein Familienporträt. Eine schöne junge Frau mit ihrem Ehemann. Sieht für mich ein bisschen jüdisch aus. Wenn ich mir das so ansehe, bleiben Sie einen Moment dort stehen. Sie sind nicht auf dem Foto.
Ah, das bin ich?
Das sind Sie?
Ja.
Ich frage noch einmal und betone, ich mag es nicht, angelogen zu werden. Sind Sie das?
Ich habe ein bisschen what is it? Zugenommen.
Zugenommen.
Ich habe ein bisschen zugenommen. Ich weiß es nicht, was sonst... Oh, no, s'il vous plaît!
Good. I mean, I don't understand a lick of German, so it honestly sounds fine to me. The only...
I guess my question to you, since you can understand it as we're speaking it, does it sound like the back and forth seems kind of in the... Does the breadth of what I am saying sound the same, like, emotionally and attitude-wise to when I was saying it in English?
So...
What have I lost in that? Because that's what I need to make sure I have.
To me, it sounds like you're reading it and not thinking for the word.
Okay, so...
That's the issue that I can hear off of
Can we one more time read through the English so that I can get the conversation in my head just a little bit, but have the actual conversation in English?
Yeah, we can do that.
And then I'm going to go and try and go back and be a little more... Not necessarily smooth. I don't have to be smooth, but since I know that I'm going to have these pauses, I'm going to try and give it more of a timid approach than a steadfast approach.
So, let me give an example. So, Sie hatten es so eilig. Sie schienen beunruhigt zu sein. Als Ordnungshüter, ich eilte Ihnen zu Hilfe. That's the natural flow. If I'm thinking about the words, it's like, sie hatten es so eilig. Sie schienen beunruhigt zu sein. Like,
So
it's a
give
little,
it the emotion.
it's a little bit like you're dragging on a word and then you say the next word when you're thinking about it. Well, if you're reading it, it's like, Frau mit ihrem Ehemann. Because you say the next word kind of broken up.
Okay, if I get one more with the English, one more with the rehearsal with the German, I think I might be able to just, even if the words are wrong, just kind of run through it.
Yeah, even if the words are wrong, I mean, I don't know about how it was in Nazi Germany. Most Germans nowadays are like, oh, you're trying to speak German, we'll just speak English with you, it's whatever.
Right. But at the very least, he's like, yes, you're not from Germany.
Yeah.
But there's probably also, I imagine there's also something to be said about the fact that I do have an English accent, that if I was an American individual speaking German, you'd pick up on that at this
Yeah.
point, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Which, I mean, it's
I think
only...
I might be doing better than most people reading German for the first time, but...
I mean, even a true German, my mom is like, yeah, you have a very heavy English American accent when you're reading it.
Yeah.
So it would be interesting thinking about it of a American who left for Germany before the war broke out and then became an officer, meeting another American who's working for the English that's helping out some French guys. And we're just like, so did you go to Boston or what?
Okay. So are you cool with that? We do
Yeah.
one more English and then we do one more German?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Afternoon, officer.
Ooh, where's it at?
It's like at the bottom of the page.
I hope you don't mind. I didn't knock.
Not a problem, officer.
You were in such a rush, you seemed distressed. As a keeper of the peace, I rushed to your aid.
I had forgotten. I left the kettle on. Didn't want to come home to a burnt down house.
Then there's no problem?
No. Just a mindless mistake.
There were reports of a resistance fighter in this neighborhood. Maybe last seen a couple blocks north of here. I must be jumpy. Maybe I misread the situation. If that's the case, I'll leave you to your business.
I'd appreciate that, officer.
And then we cut out the have a good afternoon.
Yes, officer?
This is a beautiful painting. Where did you get it?
I must confess, I don't know. It's been in the family for so long, probably some long-lost aunt or...
That's what I love about this country. So much culture, so much history. My family has no such heirlooms, but here in your hallways hangs some unknown work of art. Maybe I'll take some history home with me? And next to it, I see a family portrait. A beautiful young woman and her husband. Looks a little Jewy to me, but now that I look, stay here just a moment. You aren't in this photo.
That's me.
This is you?
Yes.
I'll ask one more time, and I would like to stress, I don't like being lied to. Is this you?
I put on some weight. I don't know what else... No, please! Okay, I think... Okay, let's try it German one more time.
Ja.
See if I sound like a stale piece of bread.
Stale baguette.
Guten Tag, Officer.
Ich habe nicht angeklopft. Ich hoffe, es macht Ihnen nichts aus.
Kein Problem, Officer.
Sie hatten es so eilig. Sie wirkten beunruhigt. Als Ordnungshüter eilte ich Ihnen zu Hilfe.
Ich habe vergessen, dass ich den Kessel angelassen habe. Ich wollte nicht zur niedergebraten Haus zurückkommen.
Dann gibt es kein Problem?
Nein, nur einen
Gedenkenlose Fehler.
gedenkenloser Fehler.
So, gedenkenlose means thoughtless. Gedenken means thought. Lose means
Less.
loose, essentially.
Okay.
So, a loose thought. So, gedenkenlose.
Okay. Nein, nur einen gedenkenloser Fehler.
Es wird über einen Widerstandskampf in dieser Nachbarschaft berichtet. Zum letzten Mal ein paar Blöcke nördlich von hier gesehen. Ich muss nervös sein. Vielleicht habe ich die Sachlage falsch verstanden. Was das so sein sollte, werde ich Sie in Ruhe lassen.
Ich würde da begrüßen, Offizier.
Das ist ein schönes Bild.
Ui.
Oh,
Ja, Offizier?
das ist ein schönes Bild. Woher haben Sie das?
Ich muss gestehen, ich weiß es nicht. Es ist schon so lange in der Familie. Wahrscheinlich eine lange verlorene Tante?
Darum liebe ich dieses Land. So viel Kultur, so viel Geschichte. Meine Familie hat solche Erbstücke nicht. Aber hier, in ihrem Flur, hangen einige unbekannte Kunstwerke. Vielleicht werde ich ein Stück Geschichte mit nach Hause nehmen. Und daneben ein Familienporträt. Eine schöne junge Frau mit ihr Ehemann. Sieht für mich ein bisschen jüdisch aus. Wenn ich das mal ansehe, bleiben Sie einen Moment dort stehen. Sie sind nicht auf dem Foto.
Das bin ich.
Das sind Sie?
Ja.
Ich frage noch einmal und betone, ich mag es nicht, angelogen zu werden. Sind Sie das?
Ich habe ein bisschen... fuck. Ich habe ein bisschen sehr genommen. Ich weiß nicht, was sonst... No, s'il vous plaît! Is that better?
Yes.
Okay.
Fermann, could I ask, in your little bit when you get to the family portrait part, could you... I'm not quite sure if... hopefully this won't change the meaning of the words, but could you... Because there's some words in there that even I, as a dumb English speaker, can kind of pick out, like family portrait, Frau and Mann, and then Jüdisch. If you could really hit those words, just so I can, as a dumb English speaker, can kind of get the gist of what's happening.
So,
and particularly photo.
Like this family photo. Like, stress the word.
Really, yeah, stress those kind of English consonants. I don't know.
So
stress the parts that are a little bit familiar. Just kind of here in the tail stretch, so we can.
so like mit nach Hause nehmen und daneben einen Familienporträt. Eine schöne junge Frau mit ihr Ehemann, seid für mich ein bisschen jüdisch an.
Yes.
Wenn ich das hier so ansehen, bleiben Sie mir einen Moment dort stehen. Sie sind nicht auf dem Foto.
Perfect. That's mwah, chef's kiss. That sounds so much better.
Are you going to be doing, like... Are you going to put subtitles?
No,
English subtitles?
I don't know if I can do that in podcast.
Podcast.
I could include them in like the description of the episode, I suppose, but I guess it depends kind of on the feeling and the flow of it when I'm editing. Because speaking of, this will be out next Wednesday. I think it'll kind of depend once I get more into the editing process what I want to do for that. But I'm leaning towards just kind of having people be tense and in the dark, and then once we start getting these little words, we can pick up like the photo and the Jüdisch.
I mean, some of it, like, kein Problem, Officer?
Yeah,
is
like,
kind of obvious.
Yeah. Like there's enough of it that I think even for those like me who speak a lick of German, I think there's still enough context for us to figure out what's going on without being totally lost.
I think you hear officer in German, you're like, something's bad.
Yeah, given the context of everything, I think the context gives it enough weight.
And then you hear Juden, you're like, uh-oh.
Oh no!
You got a German officer talking about Jews. Somebody's about to fucking die.
Yup.
Juden?
Just enough crumbs for people to be stressed is what I'm going for.
Okay, perfect. All right. You want to give it a old one too? Do you want me to say the first word? I've been followed.
Yes,
Make
please
no
also
sound.
give me that line just so I can have it.
Is it I've been followed, make no sound? Yeah.
Yep.
Just door slams. I've been followed. Make no sound. Guten Tag, Officer.
Ich habe nicht angeklopft. Ich hoffe, es macht Ihnen nichts aus.
Kein Problem, Officer.
Sie hatten es so eilig, sie wirkten beunruhigt. Als Ordnungshüter eilte ich ihnen zu Hilfe.
Ich habe vergessen, dass ich den Kessel angelassen habe. Ich wollte nicht zur niedergebrannte Haus zurückkommen.
Dann gibt es kein Problem?
Nein, nur ein gedankenloser Fehler.
Es wird über einen Widerstandskampf in dieser Nachbarschaft berichtet. Zum letzten Mal ein paar Blöcke nördlich von hier gesehen. Ich muss nervös sein. Vielleicht habe ich die Sachlage falsch verstanden. Falls das so sein sollte, werde ich Sie in Ruhe lassen.
Ich werde... I'm gonna let that sound real quick.
That's fine.
She's been walking up and down the stairs too.
Do we want to just start from the beginning of that?
Just
Did you hear the stairs?
It's
The stairs make noise.
yeah, I probably did. It's kind of hard.
Let's restart. Sorry.
No, we're fine.
Wait till she closes the garage door.
Sound of silence.
My old friend.
Actually, I could probably go and close the garage door so she doesn't have to. And then it's fast.
400 on the dash.
Okay. Let's go.
I've been followed. Make no noise. Guten Tag, Offizier.
Ich habe nicht angeklopft. Ich hoffe, es macht Ihnen nichts aus.
Keine Problem, Offizier?
Sie hatten es so eilig. Sie wirkten beunruhigt. Als Ordnungshüter eilte ich Ihnen zu Hilfe.
Ich habe vergessen, dass ich den Kessel angelassen habe. Ich wollte nicht zur niedergebrannten Haus zurückkommen.
Dann gibt es kein Problem?
Nein, nur ein gedankenloser Fehler.
Es wird über einen Widerstandskampf in dieser Nachbarschaft berichtet. Zum letzten Mal ein paar Blöcke nördlich von hier gesehen. Ich muss nervös sein. Vielleicht habe ich die Sachlage falsch verstanden. Falls das so sein sollte, werde ich Sie in Ruhe lassen.
Ich werde das gebrochen, Offizier. Ja, Offizier?
Das ist ein schönes Bild. Woher haben Sie das?
Oh, is it? Yeah. Yes. Sorry.
Take it back to yeah, officer.
Ja, Offizier.
Oh, wait, no. Ja, Officer?
Das ist ein schönes Bild. Woher haben Sie das?
Ich muss gatten, ich weiß es nicht. Ich muss Gas dahin. Ich weiß es nicht. Es ist schon so lange in der Familie. Wahrscheinlich ein lange Wollen, Tante.
Darum liebe ich dieses Land. So viel Kultur, so viele Geschichte. Meine Familie hat solche Erbstücke nicht. Aber hier, in ihrem Flur, hangen einige unbekannte Kunstwerke. Vielleicht werde ich ein Stück Geschichte mit nach Hause nehmen. Und daneben eine Familienporträt. Ein schöner Junge mit ihr Ehemann. Seid für mich ein bisschen jüdisch aus. Wenn ich mir das so ansehe, bleiben Sie einen Moment dort stehen. Sie sind nicht auf dem Foto.
Das bin ich.
Das sind Sie?
Ja,
Ich frage noch einmal und betone, ich mag es nicht, angelogen zu werden. Sind Sie das?
ich habe ein Beschanzer genommen. Ich weiß es nicht, was sonst... Oh. Non, s'il te plaît!
Sounded good.
Maybe. I messed up a few words.
I messed up a few words
Pretty
too.
badly.
As a dumb English speaker, it sounded great. Sounded scary.
Honestly, the part that, for me, when you were talking about I took on a little bit of weight, I was like, that was gibberish. Although a Nazi officer is accusing you of being a Jew.
words.
But considering the circumstances,
Context. Perfect. Honestly, I could live with that one we just did, but it sounds like there were mistakes made, so do we want to do one more for safety?
I think so. That's fine.
Okay.
I'm just.
It's
thinking,
gonna be like you're gonna have to really pay attention if you're gonna want to cut and paste anything.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, just like the German Nazi is like, you're a Jew and you're like, I'm fat.
What is I'm fat now?
Ich hab groß sein. Or ich bin groß jetzt. Ich bin groß jetzt.
Ich bin groß jetzt.
Ich bin groß jetzt.
Groß
which
jetzt.
just means I am big now.
Can we change it? I'm big now.
Why not? Yeah.
Because it's gonna be easier than doing all of that fancy stuff, and he's like really scared.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because like the first one is like, I gained some weight. I think you've lost all sense of like, oh, you know, I gained some weight. And you're like, I'm fat.
I'm fat now. No.
Yeah, I'm fine. That's a
How
good
do-
change.
how do I
That's a
say
good
it?
note.
Ich bin groß jetzt.
Ich
Bin.
B-I-E-I-N. B-I-N.
Bin, yeah.
Groß
Groß jetzt.
jetzt. How do you spell that?
J-E-T-Z-T.
Ich bin groß jetzt. No.
I'm fat. I'm waiting for a German to hear this and be like, oh, this is a sad part of our history.
I'm fat now.
I like the
Not to make a
implication.
joke in your thing,
No,
but like
no,
a
it's
man
fine.
might
I'm
say that
fine
in the
too.
moment. Like if someone was like, "That's you," I'm fat now.
No, it's I love it. I think it's good. Because I do think in that moment you would lose whatever little
Composure.
German you had.
All
Just
the
'cause-
composure is lost. That's so funny. Okay. Ich bin groß jetzt.
Das sind Sie? I'm fat. Leave me alone.
Good content.
I love it.
I can't go for a fucking run. There's Nazis everywhere.
Okay. Okay.
Whenever you're ready, take it back to I was followed, make no sound.
I was followed. Make no sound.
Guten Tag, Offizier.
Ich habe nicht angeklopft. Ich hoffe, es macht Ihnen nichts aus.
Kein Problem, Officer?
Sie hatten so in Eilung. Sie wirkten beunruhigt.
Ich habe vergessen, dass ich den
I
Gast...
fucked up completely. Let's go back to the beginning. Sorry.
I almost had that at a nice pace.
I completely missed out on a sentence there.
Ich habe vergessen, dass ich den Kessel angelassen habe. Ich wollte nicht so niedergebraten Haus zurückkommen.
I'm just trying to get it down.
Okay.
Go. Oh, do you want it back from the beginning?
Yeah,
Or?
might as well.
I was followed. Make no sound.
Guten Tag, Offizier.
Ich habe nicht angeklopft. Ich hoffe, es macht Ihnen nichts aus.
Kein Problem, Officer?
Sie hatten es so eilig. Sie wirkten beunruhigt. Als Ordnungshüter eilte ich Ihnen zu Hilfe.
Ich habe vergessen, dass ich den Kessel angelassen habe. Ich wollte nicht so niedergebraten Haus zurückkommen.
Dann gibt es kein Problem.
Nein, nur einen gedankenloser Voller.
Es wird über einen Widerstandskampf in dieser Nachbarschaft berichtet. Zum letzten Mal ein paar Blöcke nördlich von hier gesehen. Ich muss nervös sein. Vielleicht habe ich die Sachlage falsch verstanden. Was das so sein sollte, werde ich Sie in Ruhe lassen.
Ich werde da...
Sorry.
Ich werde das begrüßen, Officer. Ja, Officer?
Das ist ein schönes Bild. Woher haben Sie das?
Ich muss dahin, ich weiß es nicht. Es ist schon so lange in der Familie. Wahrscheinlich ein lange verloren Tante.
Darum liebe ich dieses Land. So viel Kultur, so viele Geschichte. Meine Familie hat solche Erbstücke nicht. Aber hier in ihrem Flur hangen einige unbekannte Kunstwerke. Vielleicht werde ich ein Stück Geschichte mit nach Hause nehmen. Und daneben ein Familienporträt. Eine schöne junge Frau mit ihrem Ehemann. Sieht für mich ein bisschen jüdisch aus. Wenn ich mir das so ansehe, bleiben Sie einen Moment dort stehen. Sie sind nicht auf dem Foto.
Das bin ich.
Das sind Sie?
Ja,
Ich frage noch einmal und betone, ich mag es nicht, angelogen zu werden. Sind Sie das?
ich bin groß jetzt. No, s'il te plaît.
Were you all happy with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, then I'm happy with it. You know what? I'm sure between the nearly hour we've been recording, there is more than enough for me to piece together something, but I think that last bit sounded good, so I shouldn't have to do too much work.
I think I only messed up one word, really.
I think I may have had to backtrack once, but other than that.
I slowed down. I did the reading thing, but I think it felt good in the moment because he was like making shit.
I was listening. It didn't seem like you were doing the reading thing.
good.
Nice, we did it. All right,
Thank you for listening to this week's rehearsal process. The goal of Barely There Theater is to create plays and entertainment for people free of charge, anywhere they want, anytime they want. Subscribe to us for mostly weekly updates with new audio plays, rehearsals, and whatever else might come up. We do ask that if you liked what you just listened to, consider donating to us at our website, barelytheretheater.com. And if you're in a position where you can't afford to donate, that's okay too. Consider passing this episode along to someone who you think will enjoy it. Tune in next time, and once again, thanks for listening to Barely There Theater.